As they approached the house, they seen what they believed to be someone laying on the floor. They gave verbal commands. There was no response. And at that time, there was a gunshot that went off.
God, I feel so sad for these kids. I'm gonna take them all home with me. I asked him what he would like to do, if he could do anything, and he doesn't even know.
Imagine a family, outwardly perfect, yet concealing secrets beneath the surface. A tight-knit family residing in suburban bliss harbored a toxic dynamic poised to boil over. This is the chilling tale of a family's descent into darkness, culminating in a shocking massacre that stunned the nation. Background: the Stockdale family, deeply religious, made a life-changing decision to leave the city behind. Their motive was clear: to instill wholesome Christian values in their 4 young sons, Calvin, Charles, Jacob, and James. To achieve this, Tim and Kathy chose isolation. They moved to a remote farm in Beach City, Ohio, seeking a simpler existence. Kathy, a strict matriarch, established rules to govern the household. Obedience was expected. Disobedience faced punishment. Rewards were modest, privileges like listening to a radio program. Kathy recalled their decision. "We moved out to develop wholesome values in our children. The day we moved, gunshots rang out in our neighborhood. I knew we'd made the right choice."
We moved out to the farm to develop wholesome values in our children.
The day we moved, we heard gunshots in our neighborhood, and I knew we had made the right decision.
Tim and Kathy's love for the genre sparked their children's interest. Jacob, especially, showed remarkable promise. At 7, Jacob began mastering the fiddle. His talent grew, and what lay ahead for this young prodigy? Years passed, and Jacob's skills were refined. His dedication inspired his brothers, fostering a sense of camaraderie. Family gatherings transformed into impromptu bluegrass sessions. Kathy and Tim beamed with pride, witnessing their children's growth. Jacob's progress, however, raised questions. Would his talent take him beyond Beach City? Only time will tell. Stockdale's secluded life was marked by music, love, and discipline. As their story unfolded, one thing was certain: Jacob's fiddle had continued to weave a melody of hope and promise. Jacob's exceptional fiddle skills shone bright, earning prestigious awards, including the 2012 Ohio State Grand Fiddle Championship title. His brothers Calvin, Charles, and James complemented Jacob's talent with their banjo, mandolin, and upright bass skills. Together with their father Tim's soulful voice, they formed a captivating family band. Their music became a rare source of joy, momentarily lifting the veil of tension that shrouded their lives. Kathy, the matriarch, enforced strict rules, limiting their exposure to modern conveniences and social interactions. They were not allowed to watch TV, play video games, or form outside friendships, driven by Kathy's deep-seated fear of her sons engaging in premature relationships. A glimmer of change emerged in 2008 when the popular TV show Wife Swap sparked curiosity among the brothers. They eagerly begged their parents to participate, intrigued by the prospect of experiencing a different family dynamic. Kathy and Tim hesitated, weighing the potential consequences before finally agreeing. As they embarked on this unconventional journey, an air of anticipation settled over the family. Little did they know, their decision would set off a chain reaction, exposing the dark underbelly of their seemingly idyllic life. Would they have found a way to navigate the treacherous path ahead, or would their tightly controlled lives have unraveled, exposing the truth beneath the surface? As the Wife Swap producers immersed themselves in the Stockdale family's lifestyle, they uncovered a complex web of strict rules and rigid discipline that had been in place for years. The family's melodic harmony, once a source of joy, now seemed like a fragile façade that was on the verge of crumbling. The arrival of Lori Tonkovich, a free-spirited mother from Illinois, marked a turning point in their lives. Her chaotic household, where children woke up whenever they pleased, wore whatever they liked, and ate mostly fast food, was the polar opposite of Stockdale's disciplined regime. As Lori swapped lives with Kathy, she began to unravel the intricate dynamics that had governed the Stockdale household. The boys' daily routine, dictated by Kathy, started at 7:30 a.m. sharp. If they were 4 minutes late to breakfast, they incurred a 25-cent fine. Endless chores followed, spanning farm and household tasks. Tokens, earned for completion without complaint, granted modest pleasures like supervised radio listening.
Did you listen to the radio?
Yeah.
Who picks those?
Mom does.
Oh, this is great.
This is 100 tokens, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay with you?
I would rather not have to do the tokens to get like a radio show.
Lori's presence exposed the boys' frustration. Their lives having been dictated by Kathy's strict rules, suppressed emotions simmered, waiting to erupt. Tensions mounted as Lori struggled to comprehend the severity of the rules. As Lori delved deeper into the Stockdale household, she uncovered the stark reality of the boys' isolated existence, which had been confined within the walls of their rural Ohio home. Their homeschooling regimen, dictated by Kathy, had prioritized biblical stories over scientific facts, raising concerns about their limited worldview. Lori's presence sparked a chain reaction, exposing the boys' frustration and desperation for change. Their lives, which had been dictated by Kathy's strict rules, had stifled their social development and creativity. The weight of their isolation had crushed Lori, and she broke down in tears, empathizing with their plight.
God, I feel so sad for these kids. I'm gonna take them all home with me. I asked him what he would like to do if he could do anything, and he doesn't even know.
Determined to positively impact their lives, Lori introduced the boys to modern conveniences, installing cable TV and buying video games. These small steps had aimed to broaden their horizons, sparking a transformation. Lori's influence had countered Kathy's rigid regime, setting the stage for a dramatic reckoning. Tensions escalated, and Stockdale's fragile harmony began to fray. Kathy's once strict rules now seemed vulnerable to challenge. Lori's presence had unleashed a chain reaction, threatening to upend the family's delicate balance. The outcome hung precariously in the balance, as the Stockdales faced an uncertain future. The air had been thick with anticipation, foretelling a dramatic confrontation. Would Lori's efforts have been enough to transform the boys' lives, or would Kathy's regime have prevailed? Stockdale's world was about to implode, revealing secrets and lies that would forever alter their lives. As Lori's influence gradually seeped into the Stockdale household, the boys' reactions exposed the depth of their indoctrination. Their excitement about video games was tempered by Jacob's notable disdain, whilst James struggled with guilt and enjoyment. This dichotomy revealed the complexity of their emotional turmoil. The introduction of TV sparked a dramatic response. Jacob broke down in tears, overcome by fear of damnation. Lori's wholesome family content, meant to soothe, instead exacerbated his distress. Tim's presence reinforced Kathy's rules, entrenching the family's isolated worldview. The once impenetrable facade began to crack, revealing a labyrinth of secrets and lies. As the wife-swap experiment drew to a close, Kathy's unwavering convictions remained intact. Her rigid personality refused to yield, leaving Lori's attempts at transformation futile.
I have a better idea as to what I don't want my family to be. I can't think of anything here at this family that I would want to bring back.
The Stockdale family's world remained hermetically sealed, impervious to change. The Stockdales had reached a crossroads where their rigid regime would either prevail or crumble. The air had thickened with anticipation, heavy with foreboding. Secrets and lies hidden beneath the surface threatened to shatter the family's facade. The Stockdales' dark turn had intensified, propelling them toward a catastrophic reckoning. The outcome hung precariously as the family teetered on the precipice. Laurie's influence had sparked a glimmer of hope, but Kathy's regime had yet to relinquish its grip. The wife swap experiment in 2008, intended to disrupt their dynamics, had ultimately had little lasting impact. The family's structure had remained unchanged, with the boys eventually spreading their wings. Calvin, the eldest, had escaped to Hillsdale College in Michigan, forging a new path as a teacher at the institute. Charles, his younger brother, had headed to Philadelphia, pursuing medical studies and a different life. By 2017, only Jacob, 26, and James, 21, had remained under their parents' roof. Their decision to stay had raised pressing questions about the enduring power of their parents' regime. The Stockdale family's enigmatic existence had long sparked curiosity, their lives a complex puzzle that had waited to be solved. Jacob, then in his mid-20s, and James, 21, had remained under their parents' roof, fueling speculation about the family's tightly guarded secrets. As the family band had continued to perform across the state, a sense of unease had settled over Beach View, casting a dark shadow over the town's idyllic façade. Calvin and Charles, having escaped the toxic dynamics, had distanced themselves, leaving Jacob and James to navigate the treacherous landscape. Jacob's motivations for staying had remained shrouded in mystery, his actions a cryptic message that only he could have deciphered. The tiny town of Beach View had offered little solace, its confines suffocating Jacob's aspirations. No apparent reason had kept him tethered to the family home, yet he had remained, trapped in a life not of his choosing. Perhaps he had simply had nowhere else to go, or perhaps something more sinister had held him captive. A haunting thought had emerged. June 15, 2017, had marked the day chaos had erupted, shattering the fragile peace. Stark County Police had received a cryptic 911 call, prompting an urgent response. Officers had rushed to the Stockdale residence, unaware of the horrors awaiting them. Anticipation had hung heavy in the air as Stockdale's secrets had threatened to surface. A sense of foreboding had settled over Beach View as the 911 call's abrupt disconnect had sparked immediate action. Stark County Police had rushed to the Stockdale residence, sensing a sinister occurrence. The urgency had been palpable. Upon arrival, a loud bang greeted them, prompting officers to burst in. The scene had unfolded like a nightmare. Jacob had been critically injured with a shotgun wound to his head. The nearby firearm had implied a desperate act, fueling concerns of a tragic event. As the police had hastened upstairs, tension had mounted. The search had revealed a gruesome scene in the bathroom. Kathy and James had been brutally slain by shotgun pellets, their bodies bearing the devastating consequences of Jacob's actions. Tim, outside at the time, had been overcome with grief upon learning of the carnage. The evidence had painted a heartbreaking picture. Jacob had taken his mother's and brother's lives before attempting to take his own. Rushed to a local hospital, Jacob had received urgent medical attention. Doctors had treated his wounds as investigators had probed the motives behind the tragedy. Calvin, having escaped the family's toxic dynamics, had been confronted with unimaginable loss. His world had reeled from the news of his mother's and younger brother's murders. The Stockdale family's dark legacy had finally imploded. Death, destruction, and unanswered questions had littered the landscape. The investigation had unfolded, a painstaking quest for answers. The community had grappled with the senseless tragedy, seeking to understand the events that had led to this horrific outcome. Jacob's actions, though incomprehensible, had been a desperate cry for help. The devastating consequences of unchecked turmoil had been laid bare. Stockdale's story, once a tangled web of secrets, had now lain exposed. As the truth had slowly emerged, one thing had become clear. The Stockdale family's legacy would forever be marred by tragedy and heartbreak. The tragedy that had befell the Stockdale family sent shockwaves through Beachview. As the community grappled with the senseless loss, Tim and Calvin released heartfelt tributes to their loved ones. His untimely passing had left a void in the lives of everyone who knew him. Kathy, the matriarch, was remembered for her unwavering devotion to family, faith, and natural health. However, amidst the outpouring of grief, a conspicuous silence had surrounded Jacob. The brothers' statements carefully avoided mentioning his name, as if the pain had been too raw to confront. Jacob's fate had hung precariously in the balance. His severe injuries, including the loss of sight in one eye and brain damage, had delayed his accountability. Authorities had waited patiently for his recovery before pressing charges. The anticipation had built up, with the community holding its collective breath. What would happen next? Would justice prevail, or would Jacob's mental state spare him from punishment? Finally, on September 26, 2018, the wait ended. Stark County Police charged Jacob with 2 counts of first-degree murder, setting bail at $1 million. His defense team swiftly filed a motion to assess his competency to stand trial. As Jacob pleaded not guilty because of insanity, the community braced itself for the long and arduous trial ahead. The Stockdale family's legacy, once woven from music and love, now teetered on the edge of collapse. The road to justice had begun, but the journey would be fraught with emotional turmoil. Would the Stockdales find closure, or would the pain endure? Only time will tell. Trial. The stage was set for a dramatic confrontation. Jacob's fate hung in the balance as the community awaited the verdict. Would justice prevail, or would the complexities of the human mind intervene? As the pandemic's grip had loosened, Jacob's long-delayed sanity hearings had finally resumed. September 2020 marked a pivotal moment. Jacob had appeared in court via video link, his fate having hung precariously in the balance. The courtroom's solemn atmosphere had underscored the gravity of the proceedings. Jacob's refusal to respond when addressed by the judge had sparked speculation. Had his silence been born of fear, disorientation, or cunning?
Are you able to hear me? First of all, officer, can you hear me?
Yes, Your Honor, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
The community had watched with bated breath, sensing the trial's climax. Jacob's insanity plea, once a plausible defense, had faced scrutiny. His escape attempts and calculated actions at Heartland Behavioral Health Institute had raised doubts. Prosecutors had built their case, methodically dismantling Jacob's insanity claim. The evidence had mounted, weaving a narrative of premeditation and cunning. Jacob's mental competency, once in question, had seemed increasingly plausible. The Stockdale family's legacy had teetered on the edge as Jacob's trial had reached its denouement. Tim and Calvin, still reeling from the tragedy, had awaited justice. Kathy and James's memories had demanded closure. Tension escalated as the judge's deliberations had begun. Stockdale's story, marred by tragedy and heartbreak, had neared its conclusion. The courtroom's silence had been palpable. Jacob's destiny had awaited judgment. The Stockdale family's darkest hour would soon have found closure. The highly anticipated trial of Jacob Stockdale had finally reached its climax. Nearly 4 years had passed since the fateful day when Jacob's actions shattered the tranquility of Beachview. As the community held its collective breath, Jacob pleaded guilty to the murders of his mother Kathy and brother James. The courtroom's tense atmosphere had been palpable as the judge delivered the verdict. 15 years for each count, with Jacob eligible for parole in 2048. The Stockdales' remarkable display of forgiveness had seemingly influenced the judge's decision. Their unwavering commitment to Christian values had led them to plead for leniency, sparking both admiration and curiosity. As the trial concluded, the community had remained gripped by a singular question: what had driven Jacob to commit such atrocities? Theories had swirled, hinting at Kathy's possible obsessive-compulsive disorder, Jacob's inherited traits, and life of isolation. Others had speculated that Jacob had snapped, seeking revenge or escape from his oppressive life. A haunting YouTube video uploaded by Kathy Stockdale offered a poignant glimpse into the family's past. Jacob and James's heartfelt duet, celebrating James's 21st birthday, showcased their love and camaraderie. The song Tall Buildings speaks of fearing adulthood, with James's lyrics hinting at a desire for an alternative path. As Jacob began his sentence, the Stockdales had embarked on a journey of healing. Their story, once defined by tragedy, now became a testament to forgiveness and resilience. Conclusion: the darkest hour had finally passed, leaving behind a legacy of forgiveness and redemption. A sentence had been served, marking the beginning of a new chapter, one of healing and introspection. A family's unwavering commitment to forgiveness inspired their community, showcasing love and compassion amidst unimaginable pain. A journey once marred by darkness now beckoned hope. This tale became one of hope, a testament to the human spirit's capacity for forgiveness, healing, and redemption. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more true crime stories. Share your thoughts on such a heinous crime. Your opinion matters. Like, share, and comment below. Don't forget to hit the notification bell for updates.